Sister's husband never let her have flowers. I sent her some anonymously. He lost his mind. She left him, started a floral business. He stalled her grand opening, and now I send her flowers every year. So here's the deal. My sister's husband is a complete control freak. Like the kind of guy who insists on approving her outfits before she leaves the house. Needs to know where she's 24/7 and makes snide comments about how she doesn't need things like a personal bank account or alone time. I've never been his biggest fan, but I try to keep the peace for my sister's sake. Lately, she's been looking exhausted. I mean, I get that having 2 kids and a demanding husband would do that to anyone, but she's always been the type to power through with a smile. Not anymore. She mentioned offhandedly that she hadn't gotten flowers in years because her husband thinks they're a waste of money. That stuck with me. So I did what any well-meaning sibling would do. I sent her a beautiful bouquet. Nothing too crazy, just a classic arrangement of roses and lilies with a note that simply said, "For someone who deserves beautiful things." I left it anonymous because I didn't want it to be a thing. I just wanted her to have a small moment of joy. Well, guess what? It became a thing. Her husband absolutely lost his mind. He was convinced that some mystery admirer was trying to seduce his wife. He grilled her for hours about who could have sent them. Apparently, he even called the flower shop trying to track down the sender. When he got nowhere, he decided that she must have secretly bought them for herself to make him look bad. When she finally figured out it was me, she called, half laughing, half whispering, "Are you trying to get me divorced?" Now, I feel bad that it caused drama, but at the same time, really? A guy who freaks out over flowers? I told her I'd lay off if she wanted, but she admitted that getting them actually made her feel really good. She even saved a few petals in her journal, which is both sweet and heartbreaking. So now I'm torn. Am I a bad person for doing something nice, knowing it would probably piss off her husband? Or does he just suck, and my only crime was exposing how controlling he is? A few days passed, and I figured the flower fiasco had blown over. I mean, how long can a man stay mad about floral arrangements? But then I got a text from my sister that said, he checked the security cameras. I had to read it twice. Security cameras? For flowers? This man was truly unhinged. Apparently, he went through their home security footage to see if anyone had dropped them off personally. When that didn't pan out, he scoured their shared credit card transactions to see if she had secretly bought them herself. When that didn't work, he started accusing her of hiding a second phone, a burner phone for flowers. At this point, I was equal parts horrified and fascinated. How does someone's brain go from, "Oh, a nice bouquet," to "My wife has a secret lover with a hidden phone"? So I called her. She answered in a whisper because apparently she wasn't even allowed to be on the phone too long without raising suspicion. Yeah, this man sucks. She told me she was fine, but she sounded exhausted. Then she admitted something that made me want to drive over there and throttle this dude. He had thrown the flowers away. Not just thrown them away. He had stuffed them in the trash, dumped coffee grounds over them, and then took the entire bag out to the curb. I saw red. I asked her, "Do you even want to stay with this man?" There was a long pause before she whispered, "I don't know." And that's when it hit me. This wasn't just about flowers. This was a much bigger problem. So I did what any petty but well-intentioned sibling would do. I sent another bouquet. This time, I made it obnoxiously romantic. Dozens of red roses. A heart-shaped balloon. A card that said, "You are so loved." Still anonymous, obviously. I waited. The next morning, my phone lit up. "Sister, oh my God. Sister, you did not." "Sister, he just stormed out of the house to track down my admirer." "Sister, he is actually driving to the florist to demand answers." I cackled. This man was out in the world, making a fool of himself over flowers. He was probably slamming his fists on the counter at the flower shop, demanding to know, "Who sent my wife this romantic gesture?" Meanwhile, his wife, the woman he claims to love, was sitting at home, finally laughing for the first time in weeks. And then she said something I'll never forget. "It's kind of nice to feel fought over, even if it's just for a second." That broke my heart a little, because it told me everything I needed to know. This man wasn't fighting for her. He was fighting for control. He didn't care that she was happy for 5 seconds. He cared that someone else might have made her feel special. So I asked her again, "Do you want out?" She was quiet for a long time before she whispered, "Yes." And just like that, a plan was in motion. The second she said yes, something in me snapped. Like I'd always hated this guy, but now it was personal. I told her, okay, we're getting you out. Just say the word. She hesitated. Not because she didn't want to leave, but because, like so many people in controlling relationships, she felt stuck. Her money? Joint account. Her car? Technically his. Her phone? Monitored. And the worst part? She wasn't even sure if she had anywhere to go. But I wasn't about to let my sister stay trapped in a house where she couldn't even accept flowers without being interrogated like a criminal. So we started slow. Little steps. Step 1. The emergency fund. I set up a Venmo account under a random name, shout out to my good friend Sarah Book Club, and sent her small amounts of cash at a time. Never enough to raise suspicion, but enough to start building a stash. She hid the cash in the lining of her purse. Side note, it is terrifying that we had to be this sneaky, but here we are. Step 2. The documentation. She started quietly gathering important documents, birth certificates, social security cards, marriage license, anything she might need later. She took pictures of everything and sent them to me just in case. Step 3. The exit plan. We picked a date. She told her husband she was taking the kids to my place for the weekend, which wasn't unusual. But once she got here, she wasn't going back. And then things took an unexpected turn. Because this man, he wasn't stupid, paranoid, controlling, and obsessive. Yes, but not stupid. The day before she was supposed to leave, he installed a tracking app on her phone. Yeah, a tracking app. She only found out because he accidentally let it slip. He made some offhand comment about how he noticed she was at Target longer than usual, and when she asked how he knew that, well, you can imagine the insane mental gymnastics he tried to pull. She played it cool, acted like it was fine, even joked, well, now I can't surprise you with any gifts. I swear my sister deserved an Oscar for how calm she stayed. Then she did something brilliant. That night, while he was asleep, she took his phone, found the tracking app, and switched the location to his mom's house. So while she was actually sneaking out the next morning with the kids and heading straight for me, his phone was happily telling him that she was chilling at his mom's all day. By the time he figured it out, she was already gone. I wish I could say he took it well. He did not. First came the texting meltdown. Walls of messages, calling her ungrateful, accusing her of cheating, saying she was destroying their family, and overreacting. Yes, controlling your wife to the point of insanity is normal. But leaving is overreacting. Then came the phone calls. To her, to me, to our parents, to our freaking childhood neighbor, for some reason. And then, the grand finale, the flowers. Yep, after years of refusing to get her so much as a single petal, this man, this absolute clown, sent her the biggest bouquet of roses I've ever seen. Like comically large, like cartoon villain levels of excessive. With a note that said, "Please come home. I'll change." We both just stared at it. Then, without a word, she picked up the whole arrangement, dumped it straight into my trash can, and said, "Too late. I have never loved her more in my life." Fast forward to today. She's safe. She has a lawyer. She has her own bank account. The divorce is happening. And the best part? She's finally free to buy her own damn flowers. So, am I a bad person for sending my sister anonymous flowers and pissing off her husband? No, I saved her with those flowers. And honestly, I think I might just send her a bouquet every year, just because I can. A few months passed, and my sister, she's thriving. It's like she's relearning how to be a person again. She got her own apartment, started therapy, and this one makes me emotional. She got a part-time job at a flower shop. A freaking flower shop. I just like being around them, she told me one day, as she arranged a bouquet of sunflowers in a vase. Feels like I'm making up for lost time. She even started a little ritual. Every Friday, she buys herself flowers. Because she can. And her ex? Oh, he's spiraling. At first, he tried the usual "I've changed" routine, texting her dramatic apologies, sending sappy voicemails, even mailing a letter, which, side note, who even does that anymore? But when that didn't work, he snapped. One day, she called me, cackling. "Sister, guess who just tried to send me a mystery bouquet?" Meh, no. Sister, yes. This man, The same man who lost his mind over anonymous flowers tried to send her anonymous flowers. He must have thought she'd get all sentimental, wondering who they were from, and come running back to him. But, unfortunately for him, my sister now works at the flower shop. She literally received the order herself. And the best part? He forgot to change the sender name. So she personally put together a beautiful bouquet, wrote "nice try" on the card, and had it sent right back to his house. I have never been prouder in my entire life. At this point, it's just comedy watching him fall apart. He's still convinced she left him for someone else, because God forbid a woman just be done with a man for valid reasons. He's been lurking on her social media, trying to piece together clues about her new boyfriend. The problem? She doesn't have one. She's too busy enjoying her damn life. She signed up for a pottery class. She started reading again. She takes the kids out for ice cream just because she feels like it. And the biggest, most poetic moment of all? On the anniversary of the day, I sent her that first anonymous bouquet, the one that started everything. She beat me to it. I came home to find a massive arrangement of lilies, daisies, and roses on my doorstep. The card just said, "For someone who deserves beautiful things." I'm not crying, you're crying. So yeah, maybe I did start some drama. Maybe I did piss off her husband. But if I hadn't sent those flowers, she might still be trapped. Now she's free. And if you think this story ends here, guess what? She just signed up for a floral design course. The woman who wasn't allowed to have flowers is now learning how to create them for other people. Talk about poetic justice. Fast forward a year, and my sister, she's unstoppable. She finished her floral design course and started doing wedding arrangements on the side. What started as a little self-care ritual, buying herself flowers, turned into a full-blown career shift. And honestly, she's insanely good at it. Meanwhile, her ex is still out here embarrassing himself. A few months back, he started dating again, but not really. See, he's not actually trying to move on. He's trying to win my sister back by making her jealous. Except there's just one small issue. She does not give a single sh*t. Not one. The man could marry a Victoria's Secret model tomorrow, and she'd probably just say, "Good for her. She can deal with his tantrums now." But the best part? He accidentally dated one of her clients. Yep. One of the brides who hired my sister for her wedding flowers went on a few dates with him. And within 2 weeks, she dropped him faster than a dead bouquet. Why? Because, apparently, he would not shut up about my sister. He kept bringing her up in conversation, casually, not so casually, mentioning how some women just don't appreciate a good man. Gag. The bride-to-be, who I must say is a queen, finally looked him dead in the eye and said, "Dude, are you trying to date me or get back at your ex?" He stammered out some excuse, but it was too late. She texted my sister immediately after. "Bride-to-be. Girl, guess who I just dumped?" "Sister, no." "Bride-to-be, yes." We screamed. And because the universe is a masterpiece, that bride still went through with hiring my sister. So my sister literally got paid to create the floral arrangements for this man's ex's wedding. Let me say that again. His ex got hired to make the wedding flowers for the woman who dumped him for being obsessed with his ex. If petty karma was a sport, my sister would be in the Olympics. And just when I thought the story couldn't get any better, guess what? She opened her own floral boutique. Like a real shop. Brick and mortar. Full storefront. And the name? Wild and Free Floral Design. Because that's exactly what she is now. Wild. Free. Unstoppable. And every single Friday, without fail, she still buys herself flowers. Because now, she doesn't need anyone else to give them to her. Last week, my sister had the grand opening of her floral boutique, Wild and Free Floral Design. We're talking balloons, cupcakes, local press coverage, the whole deal. She even got featured in a lifestyle magazine about women entrepreneurs, because, obviously, she's thriving. Now, guess who just happened to be strolling by on opening day? That's right, her ex. Now, keep in mind, this man has no reason to be in that part of town. None. My sister's shop isn't in some big shopping district. It's a cozy, boutique-style space that you'd only be near if you live in the area, or, I don't know, went out of your way to lurk. So there he is, standing outside, pretending to casually check his phone while very obviously peeking in through the window. And because my sister is a legend, She did not ignore it. She walked outside, smiling, glowing, and said, "Oh, hey, didn't expect to see you here." He tried to play it cool. Something about being just in the area. Sure, Jan. Then he looked at the storefront sign, her actual business, named after the very thing she became when she left him. And I swear to you, the man visibly twitched. He stammered out some weird, awkward congratulations, asked her how business was going. And my sister, this absolute queen, just smiled and said, "It's amazing. Best decision I ever made." Y'all, I could have died. The man was crumbling in real time. Then, to make things even better, one of her employees, bless this girl, walked out, handed my sister a fresh bouquet, and said, "Here you go, boss. Your Friday flowers." My sister took them, looked her ex dead in the eye, and said, "I'll buy my own flowers now." Mic drop. He left immediately. Didn't even try to recover. Just awkwardly nodded, mumbled something, and bolted. And that, my friends, is how my sister, who once wasn't even allowed to have flowers, ended up owning an entire floral empire while her ex is out here pretending to accidentally run into her. I don't think I've ever witnessed a more satisfying conclusion in my life. So just to recap, she left. She built a new life. She started her own business. She buys her own damn flowers. And her ex is still out here, haunted by bouquets. I could not have written a better ending if I tried. But just in case he ever forgets how much he lost, every year, on the anniversary of the day, I sent that first anonymous bouquet. I still send my sister flowers. Because she deserves them, and because it drives him absolutely insane. Next story. Sister kept showing up unannounced, treated my house like hers, refused to respect boundaries, broke in through a window. I changed the locks, but then she got her own place and understood. For the longest time, my sister has treated my house like it was an extension of her own. Growing up, we were close. She's my older sister by 4 years, and back when we were kids, I idolized her. But somewhere along the way, our relationship morphed into something, well, complicated. The problem? She has zero concept of boundaries. It started small. She'd swing by without a heads up, which was fine at first. She'd borrow a sweater, some books, maybe some makeup. Then it escalated. She'd show up at my place, let herself in, because of course she had a spare key, and make herself comfortable. I'd come home from work to find her lounging on my couch, eating my snacks, or using my shower like she was staying at a 5-star hotel. One time, she borrowed my favorite pair of boots without telling me, only for me to spot them on her Instagram later that night. Scuffed, in a muddy field. When I confronted her, she shrugged it off, saying, "You weren't even using them." That was the beginning of my patience running out. The final straw? I walked into my house one evening after a long shift to find her hosting a full-on girls' night with her friends. My kitchen was a disaster. Wine glasses everywhere, snack crumbs all over my couch. One of her friends, whom I had never met before, waved at me and said, "Oh, you must be my name. We were wondering when you'd get home." That was it. I snapped. The next morning, I texted her and laid down the law. No more popping in whenever you want. My house isn't a clubhouse. She brushed me off, saying I was being dramatic. So I took it one step further. I changed the locks. Cue the explosion. She flipped out when she found out, claiming I was being cold and ungrateful for pushing her away. Our mom even called to scold me, saying, "She's your sister. Family should always be welcome." But the thing is, I never said she wasn't welcome. I just wanted her to ask before waltzing and like she paid rent. So, am I a bad person for setting this boundary? Because honestly, I don't think I am. After the lock-changing incident, my sister went on a full-blown smear campaign. She told my mom, our aunts, even our cousin in Texas, who I haven't seen in years, that I was kicking her out of my life and acting like a stranger. Meanwhile, all I had done was ask for the bare minimum, knocking. My mom, ever the peacekeeper, tried to guilt-trip me. She's your only sister. What if something happens and she needs you? I told her, if she needs me, she can call, like a normal person. Of course, my mom didn't like that answer. She hit me with the classic, "When I was your age, family could drop by any time. Doors were always open." I had to remind her, "Yeah, Mom, but that was your house. This is mine." The pushback didn't stop there. My sister tried getting around the lock situation by having my mom call me to say she was in the neighborhood and just needed to grab something real quick. When that didn't work, she actually tried climbing through a window. I kid you not. It happened one Saturday afternoon. I was minding my own business, watching Netflix with a bowl of popcorn, when I heard a weird noise from the side of the house. I walked over and peeked through the blinds, and there she was halfway through my living room window like some suburban cat burglar. "What the hell are you doing?" I yelled, making her nearly fall face first onto my floor. She had the audacity to look offended. "You locked me out. That's the point of locks." She climbed the rest of the way in, dusted herself off, and acted like I was being ridiculous. "I just needed my curling iron," she said, heading straight to my bathroom like nothing was wrong. I stood there absolutely floored. "You realize breaking and entering is literally illegal, right?" She waved me off. "It's not breaking and entering if it's family." That was it. I marched over, took the curling iron out of her hand, and pointed to the door. "Out. Now." She crossed her arms. "I can't believe you're acting like this." "Oh, you can't believe I'm acting like this? I can't believe you think this is okay." She finally left, but not without another dramatic speech about how I'd changed. She even threw in a "mom would be so disappointed in you." I stood firm, though. After that, I installed a security camera. Call me extreme, but I wouldn't have put it past her to try sneaking in again. For a while, things were tense. She refused to speak to me, which honestly felt more like a reward than a punishment. Then, a few months later, she finally texted me. No apology, of course. Just, "Can I come over?" I took a deep breath and texted back. "Yeah, as long as you knock first." She showed up later that evening. Knocked like a civilized person. I let her in. She flopped onto my couch, sighed, and muttered, "This is stupid." I smirked. "Nah, this is just called respect." And just like that, things started getting better. She still complains sometimes, but at least now she knows my house, my rules. And if she ever tries that window stunt again, well, let's just say I do have that security footage saved just in case I ever need some leverage. A few months went by, and things between my sister and me settled into an uneasy truce. She still complained about how I overreacted, but at least she finally stopped trying to sneak in like a raccoon rummaging for leftovers. Progress, I guess. Then, one day, she sent me a text. "Hey, I have something for you. Can I come over?" I stared at my phone for a second, half expecting it to be a trick. But hey, she asked, so I told her to come by. When she showed up, knocking like a normal person, might I add, she had a small box in her hands. She looked weirdly nervous. "Before you say anything, just open it," she said, shoving it at me. Inside was a brand new key. I raised an eyebrow. "You bought me a key to my own house." She rolled her eyes. "No, Fenus. It's my key. I got a new apartment." I blinked. "Wait, you what?" "I signed the lease last week," she said, looking down at her hands. "I figured you were right. I needed my own space. Somewhere that's actually mine. So yeah." I was speechless. This was the same person who just months ago acted like the concept of knocking was a personal attack. Now, she was standing in front of me, handing me a key to her place. I took a deep breath. "I'm proud of you." She scoffed, but I saw the tiny smile she was trying to hide. Yeah, don't get all emotional on me." I smirked. "So, does this mean I can just show up at your place unannounced now?" Her head snapped up. "Absolutely not." I grinned. "Oh, so now you get it." She groaned and shoved my shoulder. "Shut up." But in that moment, I knew things were going to be okay. She finally understood what I've been trying to say all along. Respecting boundaries doesn't mean shutting people out. It just means treating them and their space with a little care. And hey, who knows? Maybe I will pop by unannounced one day. Just to keep her on her toes.